on everyone else because I am a single parent. And so I like started crying on the phone with him and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I wish that there was more people that I could like reach out to get help when I need to go on a work trip. But I don't. And so I'm talking to a grandpa of all people, right? And I'm like, you have to take her to dance. She has to be at dance at this time. She has to wear tight clothing so that they can teach her where her body is in comparison to the room. Like they specify that. She has to be in tennis shoes. Also, she wears this to bed or she doesn't go to sleep. And then in the morning, you have to make sure to get sunscreen on her face before camp because that's the only spot on her body that will burn. So, like cheeks, really important. Outside of that, don't worry about it. And I'm like describing that to a grandpa who's like, what? you know? Um, also, she has a certain type of sock that she likes. Anyways, I started like literally crying on the phone because I was like, I'm really sorry to put this on you, Dad. But it reminds me of that description of like giving away your scales and like feeling like you have nothing left for you. But then I get to the end of these conversations and I'm like, shit, like I just put all of this on someone else's shoulders that Kate, to your point from earlier, Kate was mentioning how we just have it in our head. It's like super easy for us because we do it all the time. And then when you go to describe it to someone else or put that burden on someone else, it can feel really heavy.
I had something similar. I actually was just texting my cousin who I'm really close to and watches my kids sometimes. On Monday, I had to ask her because I was going to work late. My husband was doing something, I don't remember, but I had to have her go and take the kids to swim class, bring them home and feed them. And I like texted her and I was like, unsolicited advice, like find your village early on when you have kids, because that's the only thing that's helping me get through all of it. But yeah, that's so relatable, Rebecca. But it's a good little transition point right now. So I want to do just a little intro. So this is the second episode of our mental health working moms gripe session. We have Rebecca, Tracy, and myself again, but we also have Janna VanderBand and Kate Hanna. So I wanted to give you two a chance to like just introduce yourselves. What's your role at Sanford? And then maybe like a little bit about your family and your home life.
Welcome to the fun, guys.
Thank you. I can start. So I'm Janna. I am an art therapist and a clinical therapist here at Sanford. As I work with the substance use and mental health primarily. At home, I have a son who is 8, almost 9, a daughter who is 6, almost 7, and then a daughter who's 2.5. My husband is a teacher. He teaches high school ceramics. So he does like School of Dad during the summer, which has its beautiful points and it has its really difficult points. Like I'm the only one that leaves the house the majority of the week, other than bringing my youngest to daycare to keep her spot. So like they get to go off and do all these fun things. And they're like, Mom, why don't you have a break? I'm like, well, this is how the majority of jobs work. And so he gets a lot of time with them, which is also hard for him, my husband. So yeah, we have a busy little household with lots going on.
And I am a nurse. I did bedside nursing for 25 years, all in mental health, and then recently became the director of nursing here at Sanford a few months ago. So it's a very different schedule than bedside nursing, 12-hour shifts. I would only work 3 days a week and then have the rest of my week to hang out with my kids. So this has been an adjustment for my family. At home, I have 4 kids, a little bit older than Janna's. My oldest just turned 21. That's my oldest daughter, and then I have a daughter that is 18. She'll be going off to college as well this year. And my only son is 16, and my youngest daughter is 13. So I was telling the girls I'm Janna's in the thick of it, and everyone with little kids, you're in the thick of it in terms of like, baths and all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I'm in the thick of it in terms of going to different states for sporting events and, following my kids wherever they're going to cheer them on, whatever they're doing. So it's definitely a busy time. My husband he worked in higher ed administration for a long time, and then about 4 years ago got a job as a tech, working for a tech company, works from home. So his summers are working in his home office and trying to make the kids be quiet while he's working. So he's ready. When I get home from work, he's ready to get out of the house and go for a walk and, anything to, not be in his little office. So I'm happy to go for walks with him when I get home. So
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask Kate, like one of the things I was really curious about, so you like have spent this time as a nurse in mental health and direct care, but it's only been a few months in this director role. Obviously, like you said, it's a big transition for your family. I'm curious, like, if you want to talk a little bit more about that and like tell us more about how has it impacted like you and at home, and like emotionally and mentally and all of the things, right? Like I'm sure there's great parts about it, and I'm sure there's probably moments where you're like, was this the right decision?
Yeah. I think I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago when we were meeting, this is the kind of job I was used to, having a job where I would go do my job and then go home and do my job at home and not think about really what happened at work. And this isn't that kind of job. I kind of have to be accessible and responsive. So that's been something that I'm still acclimating to, and that my family is needing to acclimate to as well. Before my schedule was, I worked night shift for most of my career. So because that was better for my family, I was able to go to after school stuff. I was able to go to parent teacher conferences during the day, whatever it was. Pretty much every decision I've made as a nurse has been for my family, except this one. So this is a decision I've made, for the company and, somewhat for myself as well. But in my schedule before, I was able to do a lot more meal prep, a lot more meal planning, a lot more, with my schedule, I'm still able to go to the evening activities and everything, but I don't have the luxury of time that I used to have. So I have to be a lot more intentional with my time. I was listening to a podcast a little while ago about, kind of thinking about having a clock that you're always wearing, hearing it ticking the time away so that you don't waste your time with your kids, because they're going to be gone. Mine are already leaving. So, when I walk in the door, I've always been very intentional with my children, like making sure that I have a personal connection with them every day. And they know that as soon as I walk in the door, I want to see them. So they usually come running to me. Someone's usually sitting on my lap within the 5 minutes of me getting home or something, even though they're big kids. So I think that they understand that time is precious. So they seek it out with me, and I have to seek it out with them intentionally, because sometimes I get home and my kids are at work or they're at, and like my 18-year-old daughter, I haven't seen her, I don't think, since Sunday, just because our schedules have not matched up. So I was kind of waiting at home this morning to see if she'd get up before I left. And she did it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her tonight, and spending some time with her. I think it's just my kids aren't eating as well as they used to. It's just, I have to make the most of the time that I have, on the weekends, doing more of that meal prep, meal planning, I love to cook. I just don't have time to do it anymore. So, my husband has taken on a lot more of that than he had in the past. He's a servant by nature, so he's always pretty much done our laundry. He's amazing. He likes to grill, but doesn't really do much besides that. So we've been eating a lot of grilled chicken and burgers lately. So, yeah, but I think it's just like intentionality, making the most of every moment that you have with your people. And making sure you keep the most important things, and making adjustments in your schedule to allow for that. If I say that my family is the most important, then I have to live that way, so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
Sorry,
like,
I almost started crying there, but I held
no,
it back.
you almost got me. No, you almost got me.
Yeah, so I mean, Kate, one of the things we talked about in the first time, like there's like that's the purpose of this, I think, is there's like really no apologizing for like venting or crying or for most of us, well, I say for me, coffee counts as a food group. I also often say that to my
Same.
family a lot. Like, did you eat today? Well, no. Like I haven't, but I haven't really thought about it. And I think like usually like for me, if I'm crying, it's probably most of the time it's because I'm laughing because we don't allow ourselves to slow down enough to really think through like how hard this is. So the purpose of this for you and Janna is that this is like judgment-free zone, right? And if like my child gets to eat cereal for dinner, like I'm succeeding, and I think and we kind of get going on like things that have happened just yesterday, right? Like what happened, some of us maybe left depending, right, on work. Like we could have left a board meeting, or we could have left cleaning up a poopy diaper, or you know what I mean? It's I don't know. I go back and forth on how I've navigated as a mom and actually got to these positions that all of us on this call are on. Because I mean, back in the day when I was barely making it, so I was, I say Wolfie, probably you and Jana's, well, Katie, you two, y'all's kids' age. So my son is 12, Kate. And I remember in the thick of it, and he ate it, which is crazy. But I was so tired that Beckett, my son's name is Beckett, he got ketchup on his waffles instead of syrup because he was young, he didn't know. But I was so tired that I didn't pick the right stuff out of the refrigerator. And I think so for this, it's like getting moms to understand, like, you can talk about it, doesn't mean you're a failure, doesn't mean that's what trying to create a culture here. Like, I want to figure out, Kate, how today, like, Kate, go home. I'll go sit in your office. Go to lunch with your daughter. Because are you going to the escape room with us tonight?
Yeah.
Are you going out to dinner
that,
tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go. Or bring her with you, whatever.
No,
Like
I think
that.
she's working. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But like maybe
Yeah.
go home for work from home today. Go to like seriously, like organizations have to, I know Wolfie's mom schedule by heart pretty much because she's a single mom. My son is home by himself for the first time today, and I called him right before coming into here while picking up Monica and stuff. I'm like, do not eat. And he goes, Mom, what do you mean? I said, don't eat. Don't eat anything. And he goes, Mom, it's okay. And I said, you can't have a bagel. You can't have grapes. You can't have, because he will choke. Like Beckett like inhales his food. And he goes, okay, Mom, I'll just have yogurt. And then call my mom and say, will you just keep Beckett on FaceTime till somebody gets there? Because there's some transition with him leaving and stuff today. So I would say whatever that weight is for our team, not everybody listening to this podcast has this luxury, but now every single day we got to like say, oh my gosh, is this a problem? But it's not. Like, Kate, go home, be with her. Because you're absolutely right. There's this period of time that Kate will explain as well, or agree with me in that all of a sudden, they just don't need you. Like my kid is super affectionate and super no boundaries, and now he's locking the bathroom door. And I'm like, wait a minute. Last week I was drying you off still.
Right.
And right. And now you want me to lock the door, or now he goes to bed. Like if I get to where I get so busy, and if my office door is shut, he doesn't come in, and I'll be like, 1 more minute. Katie, same thing with Sloan that one day. 1 more minute, I go up and he's already in bed asleep. And I'm like, dang it. Like, ugh. So I would tell, Janna, you, Katie, and Katie, these are things that we've been talking about lately about you adding margin, right? And all of you all need to do it. Is that you got to just make time, because anything can happen, right? Very, very soon. And what's hard, I think, is what you were talking through, Kate, is like, there's guilt. Like we talked a lot about, there's guilt on both sides of it, because you want this for you, right? It's like, I want this career, but then it's like, man, I got these kids that I really want to be with, Yeah.
You just brought something up that hit me right in the core. Kyler, my kiddo, she's 7. At my house, at Dad's house, she showers. But at my house, she refuses to. It's bath time. I don't want to shower, all the things. And I'm so incredibly busy 24/7, literally, because I take overnight admissions calls, that I'm like, please, will you please just get in the shower? It's so much easier. It's so much quicker. But Tracy, what you just said really stood out to me, because I'm like, crap, I still get bath time. And I still get to hold on to that a little bit longer, which means drying her off afterwards, rinsing her hair out, all the things that I love to do as a mom. And I get to hold on to that a little bit longer. So that just really stood out to me of like a moment to cherish instead of rush through. But then Tracy, to your second point, like I have thought about this so much recently that it's also there. I can end up down a lot of social media algorithms that it's a bad thing to want to be in leadership while also being a mom. And then that guilt is there because of the social media that I'm ingesting of like, why would you want to climb the corporate ladder if you have a child? And I've been thinking so much lately about how that's not a bad thing, and how I also have to pay attention to what I'm watching on social media to where it actually aligns with my values. Because one thing that I've been talking to Kyler a lot about, if she's like, Mom, guys, pause for 1 second.
Rebecca's light keeps going out in the office that she's sitting in. She like it's motion censored, so she like jumps back up.
That's the second time. So she'll be like, Mom, you're working too much, or whatever she says. Honestly, I don't even know that she says that. I think I'm placing it on myself. But one thing that I've been trying to talk to her about is like how important our work is too, so that she can start to understand that, right? Like we're a group of humans who are pouring so much of ourselves into helping other humans, making sure that they have access to care, that they can be supported, that they get the treatment they deserve. And so I found myself trying to bring that to Kyler and say, like, I'm so sorry, Mommy has to take a call. Mom's passion is really to make sure that other humans, as well as yourself, get support and help. And trying to help her to understand or make that connection, because we are doing such important work as well. And so I don't know how you all feel about that, but I've been trying to talk to her about that of like, come sit by Mom while I do my phone call. And like, I do this because humans need help in the world. Just like I hope someday, if you, heaven forbid, ever need help, that there's humans there that are like ready to help you too.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's actually, I was going to ask you, Janna, like being a therapist and like you're working directly with clients all day, and then you're shifting from that, to going home with the kids. Do your kids like know what you do? Do they have an understanding?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I was thinking about that as Rebecca was sharing. Because I have noticed, like up until now, my kids have been, they're on the younger end, right? So I've just been very vague about what I do. Like I go and I help people. I sit with them when they're having a hard time, when they're feeling really sad, when they're feeling really angry. But my son in particular, I mean, he'll be 9 in August. And I've been thinking about, how do I start to explain this more specifically to him? Because he's definitely old enough to start to understand, like, what is substance use? What is our mental health? Like, they talk about it in school and they come home and I'm like, oh, I'm so impressed. It's like, this person was feeling really sad today, so I walked with them, or, so I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to say, like, ooh, how do I get more specific about what I do and talk about, like, how art helps people and how and just what it looks like to do what I do, because it doesn't make I can tell it doesn't make sense to them sometimes that, like, my husband's a teacher, so he comes home, he tells all these stories and he talks about his high school kids and the weird things they do, and they can go with him to things because he doesn't have to keep their lives private. And then trying to figure out, how do I talk about what I do and share that, but in a way where I'm still, like, protecting the people that I am working with. Like, it's an interesting thing to balance. And also I want them to, like, know things. I want them to understand that people can have a hard time, and that some things are really sad, and some things are really exciting and happy, and how do we get support for all those things? So it's a tricky thing.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Katie. And then it's interesting what all of this is circling back to. So just remind me to circle back to what Janna just said about balance. So go ahead, Katie, because I have mine written down.
Is there such a thing?
Mine's really close. I was just gonna say, my kids are 6 and 4, and they ask, obviously, what do you do for work or whatever, and it's really difficult to explain, like, operations to a 6 and a 4-year-old. So one time I was like, I work at a hospital. Well, that wasn't enough, because now they think I'm a doctor. And I can't even tell you how many times I've had to be like, Mom's not a doctor. I work with doctors and I help doctors take care of patients. I'm not a doctor.
That's really funny.
Hospital and doctor. And, like, you have to go to work because you have to take care of your patients. I'm like, oh, no. Like, this is so
Katie,
funny.
that's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah. So let me try to go back to this morning. So Wolfie and I are actually staying together. We always do, because we like to save money on all this very expensive hotels in Grand Rapids. And Wolfie asked me this morning
because we are friends, but yes.
Here we go again with the friend thing. So Janna, that's a whole offline discussion we could talk about. Like, they make fun of me because I say I have no friends. Because I, don't have the time. But so anyway, so I, for those, Kate, you don't know, and Janna probably doesn't know either, I have a pretty strong spiritual life. And so I spend a ton of time in the morning preparing for my day. So Wolfie asked me this morning, what time did you wake up? And I probably 3 years ago said to God, hey, wake me up if you want me to spend more time with you, because I don't have it. So he now wakes me up at the same time. It's usually 4:34. It's a weird number. Today was 4:36.
You regret asking that question now? I'm just kidding. But
no, because it's amazing enough as I feel more energized now that I brought him into it. That's my own belief system. So last night I went to bed about 1-ish, and I woke up at 4:36 today. And one of the things that I asked, and it's he always comes back, and I say, put somebody or a conversation in my life today that answers my question. So Janna, you asked or answered it already. And it's coincidentally, I wrote all of this down this morning. And so how do we do it all? How do we serve our families? How do we lead? All of us are leading. How do I ask God to help me steward the responsibilities that he's given me in leading you all? And so, like, weaving that into like balance and responsibility. One of the biggest questions I think you all have had right now, as well as every woman or family member, could be a dad watching this, right, has, is how do I do this, right? Like, I think for me, I started in administration. I was 24 years old, running a hospital, didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I had a young child, which was my husband at the time, not my son, Beckett. I didn't have Beckett until I was 36. I had a young marriage, and I didn't know how do I choose being a new wife, and how do I choose my ambition, because I always knew, like, I knew I wanted to be a leader. I knew God put that in me, but how am I going to be this good wife like my mom, right? My mom was a stay-at-home mom, devoted mom, made dinners every night. Like, I didn't even know where to find the spices in Publix at the time. But I believe that, like, through my faith, is that God's given us this gift, and we got to learn how to set the margin with it, and set the margin with our families, because we do have to be, how do I explain it? We do have to be both. And I don't know exactly how you said it, Janna, but what I wrote down is, stop chasing the balance. I always write to myself. So stop chasing the balance, Tracy, and create alignment, right? So for me, balance implies everything gets equal time, right? That's what we're taught, but it doesn't. There are some days that Kate Sanford's going to get your best energy, and there's some days it's not. There's some days that, you know what, Wolfie, you're going to miss a call because you got to dry Kyler off, right? The question is are our choices really aligned with what matters most? It doesn't mean that what we do in work doesn't matter. It just means right now in this moment, bathing my child matters most, right? And I think for me, what's great about here at Sanford is we have the ability to do that. Not everybody does, right? Folks watching this call can be like, well, but work does this and does that. And so the other thing I wrote down is building your support group or your support system without guilt, right? All of us on this call, all of us are successful women. We're not successful because we do everything ourselves, right? So we build our teams, we build our friends, we build our husbands, and at work and at home, right? And so I think what we have to remember, and I'm saying all this because I don't do all of this. This is something that I'm still learning, is it's not a weakness to say, hey, Katie, or hey, Wolfie, on this day, like, it's hard right now. Nick got called out. I'm taking Beckett to baseball. Can you handle this? And that happens a lot internally, Janna, with some of us. But the biggest thing for me is let's not hide motherhood, right? Without me being a mom, I don't know that I would be the same leader, right? I think that I have learned more from Beckett, my son, about leadership and being in a position that I am in than any other degree, schooling, boss, performance improvement plan, anything, because he's taught me empathy, patience. Kyler's teaching you, Teddy's teaching you, Katie.
Definitely patience.
Conflict resolution, crisis management, all of that, right? And so I think, like, just to wrap up, because I could go on and on because I write a lot in the morning, is like, just be present. We got to learn. And how do we do this? How, Katie, do you be present where you are, right? Meaning, when I'm at work, I lead. When I'm with my children, be there. When, I don't have to be perfect for you all and perfect for Nick and Beckett. I just need to show up. And so I think it's really, just asking the question, what I asked myself this morning, because I've always focused on, what success looks like. And I think climbing is a curse, to be honest, and it's different for every one of us women. And, some want a corner office, some want, flexibility, some want to build something different, meaningful, but it's just, you have to say, what defines success for me? And I finally realized, after doing this now 20 something years, like, I actually want to design what that success looks like. And then ultimately we got to give ourselves grace. So maybe for yourself, like, what does that look like for you, Katie, or, it's okay to have thousands of loads of laundry. Forget it. Forget the laundry,
Yeah, my Instagram algorithm has been giving me a lot of content about this exact thing.
Yeah.
And for, I think Janna, Rebecca, and I are like around and Kate are like around
Yeah.
the same age. But like there's a lot of stuff on social media right now about like millennial moms who were told to do things a certain way, right? And you work hard and you get the job, and then you have the kids and all of these things, climb the corporate ladder, whatever. And then you come to this realization that that's not necessarily what I want. So I've been getting a lot of that, like just from social media lately. But as you were asking that question, Tracy, I have come to the realization that success for me is doing work that is purposeful to me and having freedom. And that is something that like looking ahead at like what I want my career to look like and what I want to do next and whatever it is like, how do I get myself to a place where I have both of those things? And I have a lot of that right now, for sure. I'm not saying I don't, but like the flexibility is so much more valuable to me than it was 10 years ago. I mean, I know we all would agree with that. So yeah, I think being purposeful and the freedom piece of it for me.
Tracy, you said something that I have to speak on. The don't hide your motherhood. And so one thing that I've been trying to do a lot lately is not hide it and celebrate almost my motherhood within the team. And one thing that I did recently, I don't know if anybody noticed this. We all know I'm not an organized human. I'm not your type C of the group by any means. That's why I love strategy. That being said, I almost always forget to put my automated messages up when I'm out of office. But I've been trying really hard to remember that. And I put an automated message up recently, and I literally said, I'm out of office celebrating my daughter's 7th birthday. I'll be, I'll answer emails when I return. And similar in our team's messages sometimes of like, hey, I need a moment to take Tyler to the park because I took overnight call last night. And so I'm trying to, Tracy, make balance within my own life. And so you saying don't hide motherhood, I think like within teams too, like we get to celebrate that I am going to take a few days off to celebrate my daughter's birthday. I'm not just out of the office. I'm actually really excited because my little one's turning 7. And being able to bring that to teams, even our clients, and as long as it's appropriate, and the world as well.
I also identified with that, just not hiding your motherhood. And it makes me think of when I returned from my most recent maternity leave, I was pumping for like a year. But now they have these like cool pumps that like you don't have to be connected to anything. They just like are there.
Really?
Game changer.
Are they quiet?
Game changer.
They are fairly quiet. I didn't get like the highest quality. I think those are more quiet, but they're not terribly loud. If there's like stuff going on, you don't really hear it. And of course, I didn't like pump with clients, so that'd be weird. But
well, we got into a pumping. It's funny that we always got to come back to this, guys. Pumping. Our first one we talked about pumping, Janna. So this is fun.
Yes. And so I would just like sit in the office and people would come in and sometimes it would be quiet and they'd be like, what's that noise? And we kind of look at each other and be like, oh, that's me.
Just milking, no worries.
No worries, just, feeding my child. And so it really like brought me to it's a little bit humbling. Actually, like this is a natural thing that like I have to do, otherwise I will not feel good. And also I need it for my child. And also like I'm here working and I need to be able to I'm here working and I need to be able to do both. And so how do I balance both? And it's a funny thing. You know,
I
They used to not
remember-
be able to do that. I don't know about Kate, but
Mhm.
I have a very similar thing that happened. But our back in the day, Kate, well, it's not that long ago, but 12 years ago, they were loud. And I was
Yeah.
pumping
yeah.
in my office, and my CEO was a male, and he walked in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's obvious, like what I'm doing, you know." And so it's kind of neat. Like eventually, we're just gonna be able to, not me because I'm past that now, but you can just wear a bra and walk around, and it's like a
Yep.
colostomy bag where it's just empty out at the end of the day. It's continuously
Yep.
pumping. But yeah,
I could like walk down the hallway and like I would like go get something and I'm like I'm
wow,
pumping and I'm walking. Like I felt so productive.
that's
Right.
awesome.
But
My
Janna-
sister and I had kids around the same time, and she was also a nurse working night shift.
Mm.
So I would go to the pumping room at the hospital I worked at, would be pumping, whatever. And I would get a text from her saying, "What is your pump saying tonight?" Because the old pumps used to be so loud that it sounds like
Yeah.
they were talking to you.
Yes.
And she's like, "Mine is saying gecko. Mine is saying gecko tonight."
That's so funny.
The
That is funny.
stupidest things.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
with the not hiding the motherhood and then what we were just talking about with pumping, because we did talk about pumping on the first podcast too, but it just made me think about like the not hiding motherhood. I remember when I was pumping, I was so unapologetic about it. I was like, here's the thing. I'm going to
Mhm.
feed my child for a year. That's my goal. It's something that I want to do personally. So someone's going to give me the space, the refrigerator, whatever is needed
Mhm.
to store this. I had meetings with people who, if they were comfortable, they would come in my office because you are covered. If not, I'm not even
Mhm.
kidding you. I had a couple meetings where it was like between a doorway or a speakerphone in the same office space. But I remember being so unapologetic about it. And so it just brought me back to that piece of not hiding motherhood. And somewhere along the line, I feel like I started to apologize for being a mom. And
Mhm.
then I think in being here and with Tracy and the podcast, I have stopped, or I'm healing from feeling like I have to apologize for being a mom or for, wanting to be with Kyler in a certain type of way. And so I think that's a big deal. And I wonder like how many people listening right now are either not to that place yet, or collectively are we all going through some type of healing process of like not apologizing for both being a working mom and a mom and doing them
Mhm.
together, even though it's messy. But I don't know when life was ever supposed to be anything but messy. That's kind of the fun in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I might be experiencing even like the other end of that where I have found myself, especially in the last year and a half, being apologetic for working and
Mhm.
having to feeling like I had to defend myself, and not, not that friends or family, I don't think there was malicious intent in it, right? But it was like, why don't you just not do that? Or why don't you just go home? Or and granted, yes, boundaries are important. I have always had to work on that for sure. But even beyond that, like I've gotten different opportunities and people close in my life have been like, well, why would you want to do that? You've got two little kids at home. And then I'm like, what that I feel like I can have both. And again, like the balance thing is, I said this in the last podcast, balance thing is bullshit. Indra Nui is that CEO from Pepsi, who talks about it in her book. But I firmly believe that I can have both, and I think it's not going to always be pretty. And again, like you had said before, Tracy, like at some point one of them is going to be not getting enough and whatever. But I also don't want to be apologetic for wanting the job and doing the job that I'm doing because I love it and I'm proud of it and it means a lot to me and it's important to me. And I think that it's totally fair to want both of those things and try to stumble along to make it happen. And it's also important to me that my kids see that those things are important to me, right? That I value like determination and hard work and resiliency, and that I also value them and family and all of that. So there's just such a spectrum, right? Like there's so many different dynamics in all of it.
Mm-hmm. No, for me, I feel like um, parenting and mothering is like such a work of justice. And so, like, I am being a good mom by creating space for other moms and parents to be good moms, and for my girls to be able to step into the workforce and make decisions. And if they want to be president, like, they can bring their baby to work someday, like, and show up and be talking to the entire nation while breastfeeding. Like, what a beautiful thing. And so, like, that for me has been helpful in thinking about, like, I'm never not mom. I'm never not my working self. I'm just this collage of all the things. And that entering into these spaces and making sure that we have space to allow people to be humans is like, I'm carving the space for them, and I'm creating this, you know, and bringing justice into the workforce to allow space for other people to be humans and live their lives, you know.
That's
An
that's so
amazing concept.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Janna, I'm like so curious because so obviously I'm not a therapist, I'm not a nurse. So my question's kind of both for Kate and for Janna, but Rebecca and Tracy are clinicians, so you guys have experience too. So I guess it's for all of you. You spend all day working with the population that we serve, and that on its own can be heavy, right? There's a big mental load that comes with that. How does that transition go for you guys? From, okay, you've seen your last client, you did your last session for the day, you might have had some really challenging ones or some really terrible news, like different things that just happen in mental health and behavioral health. What is it like for you? And then you have that drive home to kind of shift and then show up for your kids in a way that, like, you don't want them to know that you just had a heavy day.
I've driven home after a really long shift when I was working on the eating disorder unit. And sometimes that's a lot of mental capacity that you're using all day long. And I've driven home on the highway driving 40 miles an hour because I couldn't make my body do what it needed to do to get home because I was just so spent. So there is, Janna, you talked about you're a collage of all these different people, but there does, for me, there has to be, go ahead, Rebecca. There has to be a little bit of compartmentalization, being able to say, so that I can give my children what they need and give my husband what he needs. And there, I do try to create spaces to process what happens at work in a place that's appropriate. But I really try to. Sometimes I go sit in my garage when I pull into my house and just hope that no one saw me pull in so I can have 5 minutes to just sit in quiet and kind of turn my brain a different way so that I can kind of make peace with what happened during the day and go in and not feel like they're feeling I've been pulled down. So yeah, just like I said before, just being intentional about the way that I'm thinking as I walk into my home.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, to be completely honest, I guess, since this is what this is about, right, Katie? Katie knows me pretty well, I would say, Katie, and you've been around me outside of here. Like, if I'm really honest, I don't do it at all. I wish I could really say, like, every single day, like, I walk through the door and I'm completely present. I think the only time, not even, like, my son and Kate, I think we've talked about this. My son plays Janna competitive baseball. And it's the life. It literally is our life. Part of it is just we've been kind of told that he has a gift that I don't completely understand. I only know baseball from what I know, but I feel like I'm sometimes completely present watching him, but I'm not. Like, I always have to have my emails to 0 every day. I would love to be able to say like, hey, I leave that weight behind of the day, and that I immediately become this patient engaged mom that, you know, my family deserves. But when I really think about it, that's not, I mean, maybe there's bits of it, but that's not always my reality. The only time it has been my reality is when I was in Alaska and there was no cell phone service. Um, I have a split brain in a sense where I can do a lot at the same time and multitask, which my husband will tell you multitasking is really it's not productive at all. It's the way I've always been. But I think sometimes, most of the time, and now that I work a lot remotely, like and I think Katie, one time you said, I get jealous when you can come to Michigan because I live in Tampa, because I don't have to think about anything else, which is true. But I think sometimes when I walk through the door, my mind is still at work. I don't walk in the door, I walk out of the door really in my office. And so I don't sleep well if I'm replaying conversations, if I'm thinking about decisions, if I'm worried about, I say my people, our people, if I'm carrying the weight of things that like happen during the day. And I think the hard part of all of that, and maybe you guys have the same thing, is it's the people that I love the most get all of my leftovers, my leftover energy, you know. And I realized this one time, like I already planned, like I don't do well with grief and loss. Like you guys haven't, I think, well, Wolfie has. Katie, well, yeah, I think Katie and Wolfie both have. I don't deal well with grief at all. Like it's, my dog died and it's really bad when a dog dies. And Cato died since I've known Katie. But I'm prepping for when my parents pass away. I'm already ready. I'm getting there. My dad is like 75. He's well, but not well. And so it's like I'm already prepping. I got 10 years left. I got 8 years left. I got 7. Like it's a terrible thing. But the other day my mom said to me, and it's awful, this is awful. And I'm really trying to be intentional, which is why I'm spending so much time spiritually right now, trying to figure out this exact thing, is my mom goes, when I talk to you, I feel like I'm watching a commercial. Meaning like, I'm okay. Yeah. Yep. And like, I'm not like saying it, but like, I gotta go. Like I got the next, you know, I got the next thing I gotta go to. So I'm not intentional. I am very intentional, and she knows this. I'm very intentional with my family when we eat. Like it's a weird thing. Like when my mom eats, we eat. She doesn't allow cell phones at the table. Even at my age, you got to put your cell phone away. You're not allowed to be on your cell phone. You're not allowed to look at your cell phone. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not really hungry because I know I got to call Katie or Wolfie or somebody. I'm not really hungry right now. And then at 11 o'clock at night, I'll go eat. And when she stays with me, she'll say, you're not allowed to eat if you don't sit down at dinner time. I'm like, it's wait a minute. This isn't working right. This is like my house. But I think, you know, the irony of it all is that all day long, right, we spend our time caring for people all day, right? We listen, we support, we encourage, right? And we remind each other. We remind, like I remind you, Katie, Wolfie, all of us are like, remind yourself, like give yourself some grace, right? And so I have to remind myself to do the same thing. And I think, you know, many of us who leave, like, and serve, for me, I have an extreme quiet guilt, that feeling that if I'm better at home, then I'm not better here. If I'm better here, then I'm not better there. And it's like, it's just like the circle of like, just be, right? Just be. The truth is like being good here, which I know career wise, I'm good, doesn't automatically make the other one easy, and vice versa. But just learning that being a good mom, being a good partner isn't about getting every single thing right. It's about like just realizing that, you know, there's days when I don't, owning it, apologizing it, and then just not letting it like succumb my feelings of not being good enough. So I think, Kate, you mentioned like at home, you're intentional. I think that I really have to focus on that intentionality, and like sitting in the driveway, like you mentioned, for like just a few minutes, or walking. I've started like walking on my office and like taking a shower after work because it like resets me, just to kind of like shift gears. I don't always do that, and not carrying the whole day. So anyway, I think realizing too, and my husband said this the other day, he says, I don't need you to be a perfect version of yourself. And at one time he says, you don't communicate to me the way because he hears us talking. He's like, give me a strategic plan. He always hears me talk about strategic plan. Give me a strategic plan. Like, give me a to-do list. And then he used the word coda the other day. I'm like, wait. He goes, can you just put it in coda? Because my husband forgets everything if I don't write it down. And so I think like, no, I don't want to do that. Maybe that's the lesson in this, right? I don't want to, like, if we don't have milk, we don't have milk. We don't have to hide behind the messy parts of like balancing, leadership and motherhood. And we have to get to a point, and because love's a weird thing, but life is completely surrounded by love. If you can just love people, you're okay. If we just at work truly like think that way, right? Like I love, like it's weird for me, Janna, to even say this, but I love Janna. I love her. And we talked about this in leadership. I don't like that because I'm like, oh, like that's like, if I love Janna, then she's gonna like, now I'm vulnerable to Janna. But like really saying like, Janna's a human being, or these people that we work with are human beings. While some people may have to be put on performance plan. All that stuff is just part of the nature of like discipline and obedience and all that kind of stuff that we have to do as leaders. But like really just realizing that we all love each other in a different way than obviously our families, that I don't have to be flawless to my boss or the people that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like and I think for us here at Sanford, right? Like Katie, Wolfie, like, and Kate, now you're in it leadership wise, like that's what we're really trying to do here, right? Like, guys, just be real. Just be real with each other. Anyway, I get really off on a tangent sometimes, Janna, when I get like passionate about something. But for me, I don't do this well at all. Really. Like my family, I teach, like honestly, you all, like my husband will tell you and we did this kind of one time when I was a CEO at a large hospital organization, is we had our leaders go eat, Janna, with our spouses. To learn, is Tracy like this at home? And Nick's like, no. Oh no, she's not like that at home. And then realizing like being authentic at work as you are at home, like why not? Well, because how you are at home is probably not too acceptable with how you are, at work. And so it's anyway. So the same. Just remember this. I'll just say this: the same women that sit in treatment teams, Janet, for you and all the things you do, and Kate, all you do, or us guys in this administrative boardroom, or women. There are some women that make $1 million. I mean, I have made $1 million decisions here at Sanford. I can walk into, my kitchen, which I don't do often, by the way, because I'm not a good cook, but I can walk into my kitchen and wonder, Becca, did you eat today? And he's like, yeah, I fed myself. My kid's really independent. Well, he's independent because I've not been there. My kid slept on my couch from 2 to 6 when I was a CEO the first go around. That's why I stopped being a CEO, because I missed 2 to 6. So I tell you all, and I've told Katie this, and Kate, same, don't, and everybody listening, don't do it. It really is not worth, you can't pay for the time that you miss. So both can be true though. You can still have your career and do it. All I'm saying is don't have it be a 20/80, don't have your kids sleeping on the couch or not eating, and so I think just being honest with yourself and say, okay, what do I got to do? And then you got to surround yourself with people like we have here that says, you know what? And I'm gonna tell you, Kate, I'll use Kate as an example. Wolfie, you've been here with me before. Like, I haven't seen my daughter in 7 days. Katie, is it okay if I go home today? I'm gonna guarantee you anywhere here, we would not say no to that. We just won't. I mean, it's just not. Now, obviously, there's some times where it may be like somebody trying to get around manipulatively, right? And like do it all the time. But I think we know like the honesty around it. And it's like important, like it's important. So anyway, it's good. It's really good. I would say that anybody that's listening, right? Like, I think too, Katie, being able to invite folks like in, like that want to like, oh my gosh, I have a passion for like, let my voice be heard for whatever they want to do. If you're listening and you're like, man, this is really cool. Like, reach out to us. And you can join us, and, you know, we continue to share stories, and really all this is about is just supporting each other. That's why we started this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, really appreciate Janna and Kate, you guys for joining us. It's
Yeah.
really, I think it's so special what we're trying to do here with this and creating the space
So
for
fun.
everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful to have you both. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come
it's nice
again.
having
If you guys, if you
Yeah.
want to come again, just tell Katie, tell Marilyn, I mean, one day maybe we'll have 25 people on, 25 women.
As we just keep
Yeah.
growing and growing, growing.
Yeah, moms.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Bye.